Hey, welcome back to Engine Chronicles. Today I'm, getting ready to do a 4.6 stroker build. Got everything machined and that's all good to go. And pistons, rings, rods, that's all done. So you're gonna see that coming up pretty soon, but I figured I wanted to dedicate this episode to just the cylinder head and what's going on. And that's gonna be the Edelbrock Preformer 4-liter cylinder head. And I'm going to be comparing this to a 87 to 90 Renix head, the 2685 head. This is the first cylinder head that they had for this motor. And we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison on what you're going to get when you buy that head. Because I don't have one personally. My customer who I'm building this for, he wants all the beans. He wants the good stuff. And so we're doing it. So this one I'm kind of already starting to do a build just to put on the shelf. This is the head that came on the block that this is going on. But I figured I'd just build it and get it ready. And so this one I've already put new guides in it. I core drilled those and put them in. But here's what we're going to be doing here's the difference between these two heads. Obviously, aluminum, whole lot lighter. That's going to be a big thing. 2, on this head, the valves are exactly the same dimensionally. Now, these are modified. So this, we've got a single angle. And then right here, you can see a harsh angle right there, especially on the exhaust. These are back cut, meaning we've got 2 angles going on here. So that's where it's going to seat, and then that's just to help with flow. Same here. And the stems are back cut a little bit, trimmed just a little bit in there to help, and then the casting is kind of cleaned up. So that's going to help with flow there. And so that's on the valves itself. As far as seats, our stock seat has 2 angles on the intake. Terrible. We've got that where you seat, and then that's the help with flow. On your exhaust, you get 1 single angle. That's a really bad design there, because I find that the exhaust is what's limiting on this head. So just doing whatever you can to help that exhaust flow is good. And so that's your big difference is going to this one. This is 2 angle plus radius. So this is an angle up top. That is your seat angle right there. And then this is a radius cut all the way in here until flat. And same on the exhaust. So you've got 2 angles plus a radius cut. It makes a big difference. I don't do that stuff because that requires a lot of expensive tooling. I usually just do a 3 angle, which is going to be plenty good enough. This is for nitpicking. What else do we got on seats here? I would say the next thing we're going to go to is casting. I would say if this was me, I would trim this up a little bit in here. That's a bit of a harsh angle. You could get 1 or 2 horsepower more, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying a number, but you could help a little bit with flow there, getting rid of those little edges there. And then, in my opinion, inside the casting is a little bit rough. The exhaust could use a lot of help. The intake, just a little bit. You want a little bit of roughness on the intake, but that exhaust would benefit huge from just doing a bunch of polishing inside there. Now, next part we're going to be getting to is port sizes, and I've got my caliper here. Big thing is the intake. We're going to do side by side, and that's what we've got. That's going to be an increase of, let's see, from 5/16 to 7/16 or so. No, 5/16. Yeah, it's a 7/16. So 1/4 of an inch difference there. And then as far as height, 1.5 to almost 1 3/4. So you're going to see quite a big difference there. That's a lot. And then we're going to go to the exhaust. And our exhaust is 1 3/16. And so that's about the same. Maybe it's actually a little bit wider on that. But we're going to have an oval shape. And you know what? I think some of these are different because I thought it was... Yeah, it's about the same. But here's our big difference. We're going to take our exhaust here and put that up there. It is massive. Massive difference right there. So 1 1/4-ish on the old one. And we've got over 1 1/2. So just, yeah, a lot. 5/16 of an inch difference on the height of the exhaust port. So there's that, what we've got going on. A lot more flow, especially on the exhaust. That's the bottleneck of this. And I think, yeah, the exhaust goes a little bit higher up and then and drops down a lot more too. Now, as far as combustion bowl, this is 58 cc's on average with these cylinder heads. I did a Play-Doh test, so it's on a liquid test, just give an idea. I couldn't find a number online. 54 cc's on this, so you're going to get -4, which is good. And a little higher compression in there. And I could be wrong on that, so don't take that one as gospel. Big difference I see in the combustion bowl is, see here it's flat, right there. This, they kind of create a bowl effect in here, so that's going to help a lot with flow, getting that exhaust to go to this side of the cylinder head of that valve. And the flies are horrible. So they cut a lot out here, but they make up for that because here it's flat, and then here they kind of bevel it out a little bit to fill in that space. And then also they filled in this area on the new head, so then the old one is just here, and this is all gone. So they filled all that in. So I think certain areas they opened it up and they filled it back in with the new head design. So they advertise a 215 horsepower with this head bolting it on, and so that's a 25 horsepower increase over stock. I bet you with the 4.6 you're going to see a 40 horsepower increase. Big difference, and that's a pretty good bang. Well, really, the stroker is the cheap way to go with getting more horsepower. But I mean, if you need to redo your head and you want even more, go with the aluminum head. You're going to get a lot more. It's going to flow better. I find that with the stock head, you're going to get to like 3,500 RPM and you got good power, but 4,000 it starts to drop, and 4,500 RPM, there's nothing left. The power is gone. I think that's because it can't get the exhaust out and get new air in. So it has a flow issue, and you can't put a bigger cam in there because the head can't take it. So if you really want more horsepower out of these, you need a bigger cam, you need a bigger head. And that's going to be your recipe for more horsepower. And you have to do the bigger head if you want a bigger cam. You can do a little bit with the stock. We did that extra 30 lift with the stock head, and it does just fine. I mean, it does really good. But yeah, if you want more, if you want the 50, you want the 60, 100 lift on top of that, you're going to need this. And as far as, let's get to valve springs. Your stock valve spring is kind of a beehive-ish spring. This is what we've got going on these. It's a two-stage spring, so there's a spring inside. We've got brass valve guides. We got a normal metal-clad Vidon seal and stamped locators for those springs. So we're just gonna get this spring and the new spring, and we're gonna do side-by-side tests on my compressor and see what's going on. All right, we've got our spring compressor. So this is a stock spring, and I mean, it's an original spring, so it's gonna have a little bit of loss of pressure. But if we drop this down to 1.5 inches right there, we're gonna see about 110 pounds of spring pressure at 1.5 inches. Take that down to 1.5 inches, and we're gonna see 190 pounds. So that's gonna be an 80-pound increase in spring pressure. So if you're not running a crazy camshaft, I would recommend changing this spring back to something stock or just a little bit more than stock. I bet you a new spring is gonna be 120 pounds. I usually see a loss of 10 pounds on a used spring. But going from 120 pounds, what it probably should be, to 190 pounds, that's a 70-pound increase. So if you're not running a big camshaft in this, if you're not doing more ratio, I would probably say order a bare head and put different springs in it, or just buy the already built up one and then change your springs out to a stock one or slightly more than stock. That would be my recommendation, because you don't want more spring pressure than your camshaft needs. Now in this case, we are doing 1/7 ratio rocker arms, so that is going to be a need for more spring pressure. But yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on the side by side of these heads. And yeah, I'd say if you have the ability to drop an extra $2 grand on a cylinder head, or after machining 1,500, if you're going to drop 1,500 on a head, if you want to, I'd say go for it. I think there's a lot of benefits there. Sorry, whoa, hiccup, burp, wild stuff. All right, yeah, so cool. It's kind of cool. And then also one thing I forgot to mention, this coolant passage here is not existent on this cylinder head. I'm curious on that. So it's an aluminum head, so it's going to cool a lot better. But why do these not exist there? I'm not sure. So we're going to measure the depth here of this coolant passage on where the exhaust port is. Now let's put that here. That is right at the tip there. So this exhaust port is as low as the coolant passage is inside the cylinder head here. That's kind of crazy. So you get what I'm saying here? That depth there is that depth right there. So you can't do a port this big on this head. It wouldn't, the casting wouldn't allow for it. The flies are driving me nuts. And also I think one of the cool thing is all the bolt holes for the manifold are helicoiled already. So that's going to be a big deal. Since aluminum does weird things with bolts, already having a helicoil in there is I think it's a pretty good addition to it. So yeah, there you go. Hope it's straightforward, to the point. There's a whole lot more to this head, I'm sure, that I'm missing, but this is just me looking at this head for 20 minutes saying, I like that, I don't like that. But I would say it is a 90% I like that. So if you can, go for it. It's a good cylinder head, it looks like. We're gonna find out when we put on this bad boy. It's gonna be fun. We got Icon forged pistons, we got ARP hardware all the way around, board, decked, all the good stuff. So if you want to see this engine get put together, it's going to be here on this channel in the very near future. Thanks for, well, clicking on the thing and watching me ramble about stupid stuff. I'll see you guys later.